The Galactic Survival Council has one rule that every species agrees on. Never send anyone to a Class 12 Deathworld without full military-grade equipment. These planets kill in minutes. The atmosphere alone can dissolve most species. The predators hunt in packs with coordination that makes wolf behavior look random, and the environment shifts faster than most beings can adapt. So when Jake Patterson got stranded on Varath 7 with absolutely nothing, the alien observers expected him dead within an hour. They activated their recording systems to document what they thought would be a tragic but valuable case study. But the truth behind what happened next will shock you. Because Jake didn't die, he didn't even panic. Instead, he looked around at the deadly jungle, shrugged, and said something that broke the alien's understanding of survival itself. He said it reminded him of a camping trip he took in Montana when he was 12. The Alien Council couldn't believe it. Here was a Class 12 Deathworld, a planet so hostile it had killed 17 trained exploration teams, and this human was comparing it to a childhood vacation. But wait until you hear what Jake did with zero equipment on a planet designed to kill. First, he turned the most poisonous plant on Varath 7 into his water source, using a technique he learned from a wilderness video. Second, he befriended the apex predator that had killed 3 alien teams by treating it like a nervous dog. And third, he built a shelter so effective that the galactic engineers are now studying it for their emergency protocols. The Galactic Council spent 2 weeks watching him. They couldn't look away, because every time they predicted his death, Jake just adapted like he was solving a simple puzzle. The aliens started asking questions they'd never considered. How did humans evolve? What kind of planet creates a species this resilient? And the biggest question of all, if a Class 12 Deathworld is camping to a human, what does that make Earth? Let me show you exactly how this happened. Jake Patterson was a field researcher for the Terran Exploration Initiative. His job was simple: tag along with alien survey teams and document Earth plants for potential colonization projects. He wasn't military. He wasn't special forces. He was a botanist who liked hiking on weekends. The mission to Varath 7 was supposed to be routine. The alien team, led by a cautious insectoid named Krell, had state-of-the-art environmental suits. They had plasma weapons. They had emergency teleport beacons tied to their life signs. Jake had the same equipment, standard protocol for human researchers working off-world. But here's the first surprise. The equipment failed. Not from any attack or obvious malfunction. A solar flare hit their ship systems, the kind of stellar activity that happens near Varath 7's unstable sun every few days. Jake's suit shut down completely. His beacon went dark. His weapon turned into expensive paperweight. And because the teleport system was hardwired to life signs, when his suit died, the system assumed he was dead too. The alien team evacuated. They followed emergency protocols perfectly. Leave no one behind meant retrieve the bodies later. They marked Jake's location and jumped back to orbit. Jake woke up 30 minutes later in the middle of a jungle that had already killed seasoned warriors. He was wearing a dead environmental suit that weighed about 60 pounds. He had no food, no water, no communication, no weapons. The temperature was swinging between freezing and scorching every few hours. The plants secreted acids that could melt through metal. The local predators could smell blood from 3 miles away. Here's the second surprise. Jake's first action wasn't panic. It was taking off the useless suit. He stripped down to his basic clothes, assessed his surroundings, and started looking for water. The orbital observation team activated their systems when they detected movement at Jake's last location. They expected scavengers. Instead, they saw a human in a t-shirt and cargo pants examining leaves. Krell contacted the Galactic Survival Council immediately. This was unprecedented. A human was mobile and active on a Class 12 Deathworld without any equipment. The council made a decision. They would watch and record. If Jake survived even a few hours, the data would be invaluable. They gave him a survival window of 90 minutes based on their models. Here's the third surprise. Within those 90 minutes, Jake had already solved his water problem, identified 3 edible food sources, and started constructing a basic shelter. The aliens couldn't understand it. They ran his actions through every known survival database. Nothing matched. Jake wasn't following any protocol they recognized. He was just doing what felt natural. Now here's where things get really interesting. The water situation on Varath 7 should have killed Jake first. The planet's water sources were contaminated with parasites that could invade a host's bloodstream in seconds. Even the rain carried microscopic organisms that attacked cellular walls. The alien survival manual was clear. Without a filtration system, dehydration was the only safe option until rescue. Drinking anything meant certain death. Jake found a solution in 20 minutes. He spotted a plant the aliens called Crimson Death. It grew in thick clusters near the jungle floor. The plant was famous for one thing. Its sap could dissolve organic matter on contact. One drop could burn through skin in seconds. The aliens watched Jake approach these plants with confusion. Was he attempting suicide? Was the psychological stress causing irrational behavior? Then Jake did something that made the observation team call in their chief botanist. He cut the plant at a specific angle. He positioned his water container, a hollowed piece of bark, underneath. And he waited. The plant started dripping clear liquid. Not sap, water. Jake had identified that Crimson Death was actually a carnivorous plant that liquefied its prey. But before digestion, it stored pure water in specialized chambers to dilute its own acid. By cutting at the right point, Jake tapped into clean water while avoiding the deadly sap chambers. The alien botanist pulled up Crimson Death's biology files. The water chambers were known, but no one had ever considered accessing them. The risk seemed too high. One wrong cut meant death. Jake drank deeply. He explained to himself, knowing his suit camera might still record audio. He said the plant reminded him of pitcher plants on Earth. Same basic design, just more aggressive. But here's what shocked the aliens most. This wasn't special training. Jake learned this from a wilderness survival channel he watched during lunch breaks. Some guy named Dave, who filmed in the Amazon. Dave once showed how to get water from toxic plants by understanding their internal structure. Jake applied a YouTube tutorial to an alien plant, and it worked. The Galactic Council started reviewing Earth's information networks. They discovered thousands of hours of survival content. Humans teaching each other how to find water, build fires, trap food, and construct shelter using nothing but natural materials. This content wasn't military training. It was entertainment. Humans watched this for fun. One council member, a cautious reptilian named Soren, raised an important point. If humans casually shared this knowledge as entertainment, what did that say about Earth's environment? They pulled Earth's classification. The file made them go silent. Earth was rated Class 11, just one level below Varath 7. Earth had megafauna that could kill humans easily. It had weather patterns that could freeze or cook someone in hours. It had diseases, parasites, and more ways to die than most documented death worlds. Humans evolved in conditions almost identical to where Jake was stranded. The only difference was Varath 7 had slightly higher gravity and more aggressive plant life. To Jake this wasn't alien at all. This was home with a different paint job. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this. On day 2, Jake encountered the creature that had killed 3 separate alien exploration teams. The locals called it a shadow stalker. The aliens called it a reason to avoid Varath 7 entirely. Shadow stalkers were apex predators. They stood 8 feet tall on 4 legs. They had razor-sharp claws that could slice through armor. They hunted in coordinated packs using a form of communication scientists barely understood. And they were territorial to an extreme degree. The alien manual was absolute. If you encounter a shadow stalker, use your weapon immediately. If your weapon fails, use your emergency teleport. If that fails, you're dead. Jake had no weapon, no teleport, no armor. The shadow stalker found him near his shelter at dawn. Jake was cooking something over a small fire. He looked up and saw the creature watching him from 30 feet away. The observation team went into crisis mode. They activated rescue protocols. They prepared to recover whatever was left of Jake's body. Krell started recording his official statement about the tragedy. Then Jake did something that made them cancel the recovery mission. He tossed a piece of cooked meat toward the shadow stalker. The creature caught it midair. It chewed slowly, watching Jake with eyes that showed clear intelligence. Jake kept cooking. He didn't run. He didn't show fear. He occasionally glanced at the shadow stalker, like you'd acknowledge a neighbor passing by. The creature moved closer, not attacking, curious. Jake tossed another piece. This one landed closer to his fire. The shadow stalker had to approach to get it. Here's what the aliens didn't understand. Jake wasn't being brave. He was being practical. He'd already identified that shadow stalkers had behavior patterns similar to Earth wolves: social, intelligent, cautious around the unknown. The alien teams had always encountered shadow stalkers in their territory. The teams wore armor, carried weapons, and moved in tight formations. To a territorial predator, this looked like an invasion. An attack was the logical response. Jake was alone, unarmed, making himself smaller by sitting, and offering food. This was the universal language of non-aggression. By day 3, the shadow stalker was sleeping near Jake's shelter. By day 5, 2 more had joined. They weren't pets. They weren't tame. They were treating Jake like a strange but acceptable part of their territory. The galactic zoologists were losing their minds. They'd studied shadow stalkers for decades. Every observation involved attacks, escapes, or death. They'd never seen peaceful interaction. Jake explained it simply during one of his audio logs. He said the creatures reminded him of his neighbor's husky back in Oregon. Big, looked scary, but really just wanted to know if you were a threat or not. Once you proved you weren't, they were actually pretty chill. But here's the deeper revelation that changed everything. The aliens started reviewing their entire approach to hostile wildlife. They'd always used a dominance model: show strength, carry bigger weapons, establish yourself as the superior threat. Humans used a cooperation model: understand the animal, respect its space, find common ground. Even predators could be reasoned with if you spoke their language. This worked because of something unique to Earth's evolution. Humans had domesticated dozens of species. Wolves became dogs. Wild cats became house cats. Horses, cattle, chickens, even bees. Humanity's survival strategy was turning potential enemies into allies. Jake wasn't doing anything special. He was applying 40,000 years of human evolution. The instinct to turn a threat into a friend was baked into his species. The Galactic Council started examining human history with new context. They found records of humans befriending everything from apex predators to venomous reptiles. There were humans who kept bears as companions, humans who trained tigers, humans who swam with sharks. One council member asked the question that would haunt them all: if humans could befriend shadow stalkers in 3 days, what else could they befriend? This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. On day 7, Jake completed something that forced the Galactic Council to revise their entire classification system. He built a permanent shelter using only materials from Varith 7. This sounds simple until you understand what it meant. The aliens had tried to establish a research base on Varith 7 4 times. Each attempt failed. The environment destroyed their structures within weeks. Acid rain ate through metal. Root systems cracked foundations. Temperature swings warped materials. The best galactic engineers couldn't make anything last. They'd concluded that permanent settlement was impossible without constant maintenance and advanced technology. Jake's shelter was still standing when the rescue team arrived. More than standing, it was thriving. He'd used a design he called hybrid primitive architecture. He wove together branches from 3 different plant species that naturally repelled each other's acids. This created a neutralizing effect. The structure self-regulated against chemical damage. For the roof, he'd used leaves from the crimson death plant, the same plants he got water from. The leaves were waterproof and naturally antimicrobial. They actually got stronger when exposed to acid rain. The foundation was built on elevated stones arranged to allow airflow. This prevented root invasion and regulated temperature. Jake said he copied this from ancient Japanese building techniques he'd seen in a documentary. But here's the revelation that shattered the aliens' worldview. Jake had created a shelter more durable than their advanced technology by working with the environment instead of against it. The galactic engineers studied Jake's design for 3 weeks. They ran simulations, They tested materials. Every analysis came back the same. Jake's primitive shelter outperformed their advanced structures in durability, adaptability, and resource efficiency. But it got worse for the aliens' pride. Jake had also developed a food cultivation system. He'd identified which plants were edible after processing. He'd created a smoking system to preserve meat from his hunting. He'd even started a small garden using composting techniques. In 7 days, Jake had gone from stranded survivor to established resident. He had food security, water security, shelter, and 3 shadow stalkers that helped him hunt in exchange for shared meals. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. They pulled up Earth's full environmental data. They needed to understand how this was possible. What they found changed everything. Earth wasn't just harsh, it was variably harsh. Humans evolved in Africa but spread to every climate on the planet: frozen tundras, burning deserts, dense jungles, mountain peaks, ocean coasts. Every environment required different survival strategies. Humans didn't evolve one perfect adaptation. They evolved the ability to adapt to anything. This was their superpower. Not strength, not speed, not natural weapons, adaptability. Other species specialized. Humans generalized. This made them weaker than specialists in specific environments but stronger than everyone in variable conditions. A Class 12 Deathworld like Varith 7 was just another variable environment. Jake treated it like a puzzle. Apply what you know, test what you don't, adjust based on results. The Council realized their classification system was fundamentally flawed. They rated planets based on how hostile the environment was, but they never considered that hostility could be relative. To most species, Varith 7 was unsurvivable. To humans, it was challenging but manageable. Not because humans were stronger but because they were more flexible. One council member named Thalan proposed a new classification. Instead of rating planets objectively, they should rate them by species compatibility. What's deadly for one species might be comfortable for another. This led to a terrifying conclusion. If Varith 7 was manageable for humans without equipment, and Earth was only slightly less hostile, then Earth wasn't a death world by human standards. Earth was a training ground. Every human who survived to adulthood had already passed Deathworld survival certification. They just didn't know it, because it was normal. Jake wasn't exceptional, he was average. Any human with basic outdoor experience could have done the same thing. The aliens had been measuring human capability by their own standards. Big mistake. So what does all this mean for us today? The Jake Patterson incident forced the Galactic Council to completely reconsider humanity's role in the interstellar community. Here's why this matters to everyone watching this video. First, Earth's classification changed. The planet was upgraded from Class 11 to Class 13 in terms of hostility. But here's the twist. The upgrade wasn't a warning, it was an acknowledgement. Earth was so hostile that it created the most adaptable species in known space. This had immediate practical effects. Human colonists were suddenly the most valuable workers in the galaxy. Planets that other species couldn't settle became prime real estate for humans. Mining operations on hostile worlds started recruiting exclusively from Earth. The economic implications were massive. Humans went from newcomers in galactic trade to essential specialists. Jobs that required hazard pay for other species were just outdoor work for humans. But here's the second implication. Military interest exploded. The Galactic Defense Coalition started recruiting human soldiers aggressively. If one human could survive a Class 12 Deathworld with zero equipment, what could trained human soldiers do with proper gear? The answer was terrifying to potential enemies and comforting to allies. Human special forces started completing missions that had been considered impossible. Hostile environment insertions became human specialties. One particular mission became legendary. A human team recovered a crashed ship from a volcanic planet rated Class 14. They walked through conditions that would kill most species in seconds. They treated it like a particularly hot day at work. Third implication: scientific collaboration increased dramatically. alien researchers realized that humans had 40,000 years of survival innovation they'd never documented, techniques passed down through generations, tricks learned by trial and error. Universities across the galaxy started Earth studies programs. Anthropologists wanted to understand how such a dangerous planet created such successful survivors. The answer was always the same: necessity and creativity. But here's where things get personally relevant for humans. This recognition changed how humans saw themselves. Before contact, people took survival skills for granted. Everyone knew someone who could start a fire, find water, or build a shelter. After the Jake Patterson incident, humans realized these weren't basic skills. They were advanced capabilities that most intelligent species never developed because they never needed them. This created a cultural shift. Survival skills became point of pride. Camping became training. Hiking became certification. Humans started teaching their children wilderness survival not just for safety but as cultural heritage. The fourth implication was diplomatic. Other species started treating humans with new respect. Not fear, not caution, but genuine respect for capability. When humans spoke about environmental challenges, people listened. When humans proposed solutions for hostile planets, councils approved funding. But there was a darker implication too. Some species became worried. If humans could survive anything, could they be stopped? If Earth was their training ground, what were their limits? These fears weren't completely unfounded. Humans in galactic history had a pattern. They adapted quickly. They spread efficiently. They turned hostile environments into homes. This led to the fifth implication: policy changes. The Galactic Council created new protocols for human colonization, not restrictions, guidelines, because humans settling a planet could transform it from uninhabitable to thriving in a generation. Some species saw this as opportunity. Partner with humans to develop harsh worlds. Others saw it as threat. Humans might expand too successfully. But here's what the Jake Patterson incident really taught everyone. Success isn't about having the best technology or the strongest military. It's about adaptation. It's about working with your environment instead of against it. It's about turning problems into solutions. Jake survived because he didn't fight Vareth 7. He lived with it. He respected it. He learned from it. This philosophy started spreading beyond humans. Other species began studying Earth's adaptation techniques. They started applying human survival strategies to their own challenges. The galaxy became more resilient, not because everyone became human, but because everyone learned from humanity's greatest strength: the ability to adapt to anything. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. 2 months after his rescue, Jake Patterson did something that shocked everyone one last time. He requested permission to return to Vareth 7. The Galactic Council denied the request immediately. They thought Jake had trauma, maybe survivor's guilt. Perhaps he needed psychological evaluation. Jake's explanation changed their minds. He wanted to finish his botanical research. He'd identified 17 plant species with potential medical applications during his survival period. He'd documented their properties. He'd tested their effects. But he needed proper equipment to collect samples. The council approved a supervised return mission. Jake went back with a full team, advanced equipment, emergency protocols, every safety measure available. Here's the final twist. Jake's Shadow Stalker pack was still there. They recognized him. They approached peacefully. They even helped the research team by guiding them to plant locations. The aliens witnessed something they'd never seen: true cooperation between species from different worlds. Not domination, not domestication, partnership. Jake spent 3 weeks on Vareth 7. He collected his samples, he documented his findings, and he established the first successful research station on the planet. The design, his original shelter, just expanded with modern materials that followed his natural principles. The station is still operational today. It's become the model for hostile environment research across the galaxy. Scientists from dozens of species work there. They study everything from plant biology to predator behavior to survival techniques. But the real legacy isn't the research, it's what Jake proved. He proved that intelligence isn't about knowing everything, it's about learning anything. He proved that survival isn't about being the strongest, it's about being the most flexible. He proved that Earth didn't create weak humans who needed protection. Earth created adaptable humans who could thrive anywhere. The Jake Patterson incident became required study in every galactic academy, not just survival schools, leadership programs, engineering courses, diplomatic training. Everyone studied how one human with zero equipment outperformed entire teams with advanced technology. The lesson was always the same. Technology is a tool, adaptation is a skill, and skills beat tools when the environment changes. Jake's own words became famous. When asked how he survived, he said something simple: "I just remembered what my dad taught me. Nature isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. Pay attention and she'll show you everything you need." This philosophy spread. Planets that were written off as uninhabitable got second looks. Environments considered too hostile became interesting challenges. Problems that seemed impossible became opportunities for creative solutions. But here's the truly final revelation. Jake wasn't the only human who could do this. The Council started testing other humans in controlled scenarios. Every single test subject showed the same adaptability. Different techniques, different speeds, but same fundamental capability. Humanity's average was everyone else's exceptional. Earth had created an entire species of survivors, not through genetic engineering, not through technology, through 40,000 years of trial and error in one of the most hostile environments in the galaxy. Jake returned to Earth after his research concluded. He went back to his normal job. He still goes camping on weekends. He still watches survival videos during lunch. Because to Jake, Varath 7 was never a death world. It was just camping with extra steps. And that perspective, that fundamental human ability to adapt and thrive anywhere, changed the galaxy forever. If this opened your eyes to how extraordinary ordinary humans really are, you need to hear what happened next. Let's recap what we just discovered. First, a human survived a Class 12 death world with zero equipment using techniques learned from YouTube and childhood camping trips. Second, he didn't just survive, he thrived by working with the environment instead of fighting it. Third, his success revealed that every human carries survival capabilities that most alien species consider superhuman. This isn't science fiction. This is the logical result of humans evolving on a planet that constantly tried to kill them. Every disaster that Earth threw at humanity made the survivors stronger, smarter, and more adaptable. The Jake Patterson incident proves something incredible. The skills you might take for granted, knowing how to start a fire, find water, build shelter, or stay calm in danger, these aren't basic. They're advanced capabilities that took 40,000 years to develop. Think about that next time you go camping. You're not just having fun. You're practicing skills that could make you invaluable on alien worlds. You're maintaining evolutionary advantages that make humans the most adaptable species in known space. Now here's what I want you to do. First, smash that subscribe button because we're diving deep into more stories about humanity's hidden capabilities. We've got videos coming about human pain tolerance that shocked alien doctors, about human endurance that broke galactic records, and about human creativity that solved problems alien engineers thought impossible. Second, hit the like button if this story changed how you see everyday human abilities. Your engagement tells me to make more content like this. And trust me, there are dozens more stories about humans being accidentally incredible. Third, drop a comment answering this specific question. What survival skill do you have that you never thought was special until now? Can you start a fire without matches, navigate without GPS, find food in the wild, build a shelter? Share your story because I guarantee someone in the comments will find it impressive. But here's the deeper action I want you to take. Go learn something new about survival. Watch a wilderness video. Practice building a fire. Learn to identify edible plants in your area. Not because you'll need it tomorrow, but because you're maintaining capabilities that make humans special. Every skill you learn is another adaptation in your toolkit. Every challenge you overcome is training for unknown futures. You're not just preparing for camping trips. You're staying sharp in ways that matter on cosmic scales. Here's a challenge. This weekend, try something primitive. Make a fire without matches. Cook without modern equipment. Build something with only natural materials. See how it feels to rely on adaptation instead of technology. You'll probably discover you're better at it than you expected, because those instincts are already there. Earth put them there. 40,000 years of survival trained them into your DNA. And if you want to go deeper into this topic, check out the video we made about why alien species consider Earth the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. It explains exactly what makes Earth so hostile and why humans don't even notice. That video will blow your mind about what you consider normal. Remember, every human alive is a certified Deathworld survivor. You passed the test just by making it to adulthood on Earth. Jake Patterson proved that. He showed the galaxy what average humans can do. You're not weak. You're not fragile. You're adapted to one of the most hostile environments in known space. That makes you extraordinary even when you feel ordinary. Now go prove it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, where we explore more ways humans accidentally terrify the galaxy.